Right, hey guys, this is something a little bit new for me to talk about, but I just had to because I found it absolutely hilarious that it's a trending topic for today. And so, I mean, it's been happening over the past week, right? It's been talked about over the past week, but people are going nuts over it, and a lot of people have already covered this. I thought I'd just give my thoughts on this thing. So I don't usually do these kinds of news video, as I said, but I think whatever is something that's cool, and I thought I'd talk about it because it's something that really intrigues me in the way and design that, from being a gamer and from being someone who has paid for subscription based content. We know that I think the most common subscription based content anyone or everyone may have paid for at least once in their life would be television, right? You have to subscribe for television channels, and that's the best way to actually get the content that you want on TV. I don't think there's like annual packages that are that reliable. Usually it's just monthly as you use, and then you can add in additional content if you want to check out some new channels. You can add and then unsubscribe and so on and so forth. And then of course, if you go even way back to the days of our grandfathers, almost everyone paid for a newspaper, right? And they paid it as a subscription basis, where you will have the newspaper vendor who comes by, or some guy usually on a bicycle who just wants to make some cash, and they will come through the paper in your doorstep, and then you just gotta give your monthly payments, and then you're good to go. And then there's of course lots of other crap, but these are the most common things that we know that we pay subscription for. But BMW wants to try to change your mind and think that we are absolute morons and we are going to fall for this. But guess what? I think it's highly likely that it is possible that this might be, revolutionary, and people might actually be falling for it as we speak, because this is not entirely new. Now, this article by the Wall Street Journal came out on July 13, 2022, which was not just a week ago, like a few days back, actually. And it's all about the fact that BMW wants to charge you a subscription fee for using the seat warming technology, this front seat heating technology, that is already a feature that is available in the car, but they want you to pay a monthly subscription so that your car unlocks that feature, so the software of the car allows you to use it. So as you can see, there's already a drop in BMW stock and shares, and people are going nuts over this idea. And whoever thought about this, first of all, needs to be shot, like in the streets. But I mean, aside from that, it's hilarious to understand, the fact that you already have the hardware which has the ability to perform what needs to be performed. And like, this is not new, right? We know that cars do this. We know that cars want to sell a higher spec model of the same vehicle, but they don't really want to change their production methods. They don't really want to change the parts that they are developing. So they basically give you the same cars for the lower spec model and the higher spec model. And now, how they save cost in not needing to create two different kinds of templates to design the car is that in the lower spec model, they just limit the car's capabilities using its software. And this comes from gear transmission, the speed limit of the car, the engine power. Everything is limited purely by software. And if you guys don't believe me, I actually have a car that I do know is limited by software, and I actually had to, I found a guy who could remove those limiters per se. And so I checked with him, and he is basically an ex BMW specialist, and he was a programmer who worked at BMW. And so he's now providing the service where he allows people to unlock certain features in their car, so long as the car is no longer covered by BMW warranty. So if you have a car that's not covered by the warranty, whether it's Mercedes, BMW, Ferrari, doesn't care, like whatever brand your car is, right? He has the technical expertise to actually unlock the software in your car so that it performs the same as the highest spec model. And so I said, all right, if you're doing these tunings to the car, does it affect the car in any way? Like, is the car not meant to perform at such a high level, and you're actually overclocking or overtuning the car in any way? And he said, no, your car is actually able to perform the same as the highest spec model, so long as it is the same design car, like it's the same year model, the same generation and whatever. Of course, the only difference that would be the most likely the case is that you would have a different liter model in your car. Perhaps your car is a 1.5 liter, 2.0 liter, 2.4 or whatever, right? So perhaps like let's say my car is a 1.8 liter model and I want it to perform the same as a 2.0 liter model. It would do technically everything the 2.0 liter model can do, except for the fact that it's going to be a 1.8. So it's just limited by the zero point 0.2 liter of difference in terms of its performance and horsepower. But otherwise, in terms of the power output and transmission that the engine technically can, aside from that zero point 0.2 liter difference, everything else is going to be the same. And so this is sort of the way all cars are being designed now, because it saves them from needing to have two types of templates in the in the production the machinery that they use to produce the cars. And so they don't have to worry about that. Instead, they just design the same car through and through. Your engine is probably going to have a zero point 0.2 liter difference or whatever, and then they're just going to have a software that limits the car from performing as well as the higher spec model. And so when you even test drive the cars, you feel like a huge difference, right? You can pump both into sports mode or whatever, or economy mode or whatever, and you still feel a huge difference. You'll never quite understand why it's not the same. But the moment you put in the same software into both the 1.8 and 2.0, you realize there's almost no difference. The cars run exactly the same. And besides maybe a 10 kilometer speed worth of difference, over like a 10 seconds or whatever, you won't really feel anything else that's different in the car. And that's really quite amazing, the way that that's it, that's essentially the difference, right? So having this knowledge now that I've just dumped onto you, what BMW is trying to do basically, by limiting the software in the vehicle and telling you that you have to pay monthly in order for you to unlock the seat warming feature, and who knows what else in the future, right? Perhaps your car has a hood, right, that you can open up as a sunroof or something, and perhaps they say no, you can't use the sunroof. If you want to use the sunroof, you gotta pay for a subscription. like like why would they do that, right? But it looks like this is the idea that they think that they can try to sell, and they're actually trying to push for it. And they're actually going to give you a car that can do things you want, but you're going to have to do, like, you have to go to pay for a DLC just to be able to unlock this. And this is actually not something that should come too much as a surprise, because BMW actually hinted this 2 years ago. In 2020 itself, July specifically, Forbes actually reported this article already, that BMW announced that it's going to have this sort of subscription system in order for you to pay for heated seats. And that was specifically what they mentioned. They really spoke about the heated seats, right? And so, it is possible that they're trying to target certain specific things like the heated seats, because perhaps they want to, but like for example, my only thought process behind why they would do such a thing is that they probably know that this feature is going to damage the seats in some way, or it's going to cause possible malfunctions, and perhaps it's something that's costly. And so they want to make sure that customers only use the heated seats, or only turn on these heated seat function only during winter. Perhaps they don't accidentally want someone turning it on during the summer and then the car going pop in the summer because of the heat, the windows being closed or whatever. The cars can explode if there's too much of heat inside the car. And whether it's a BMW, Ferrari, or whatever, however great your car could be, there is still a possibility of your car just exploding and catching fire. So probably as a hazard itself, just considering the dangers of using this feature outside of winter, perhaps they want to make sure that customers only use this feature during a particular period and time. And that's the reason that they want to limited to a certain subscription kind of basis, so that the customers only subscribe to it when they absolutely need to, and BMW can monitor their car during that specific time, and they can also prepare the spare parts necessary, and they will be aware of they're able to control the number of users who are doing so, so that they can make sure that there's not too many casualties in using the feature that they have in the car. Sounds quite terrifying now that I think about it, but perhaps that's the only logical thing that I could think of, right? So, and this is not just a thing that Forbes, informed about a year, like 2 years earlier. This is a thing that even Linus spoke about. in LMG clips. You guys can go and check this out. It's on their channel. So they actually spoke about how the heated seats is going to need a subscription, and Linus was like calling out things. It's like telling like things are going to change in in a year or two. People are definitely going to go for this. Like mark my words. He's quite revolutionary in his ideas and his concepts, and I absolutely respect the guy. He's done a fantastic job in his channel and the community he has grown. So yeah, it's awesome and all, but looking back at this clip and looking back at what Forbes had previously reported. Now the Wall Street Journal and all of the other other newspapers and what's not actually reporting this, the news covering it, the TVs covering it. It's kind of turning into like a more and more serious joke. Like, sure, it's funny. It's you're gonna laugh at it, you're gonna meme about it, but deep down you realize that the BMW are not really kidding about this, right? They really want to do this. This is something that they've had in their minds. They built the idea. They knew what people would say. They've already heard people's voices 2 years ago, and it's not just Linus. Like, there's so many other people who would have spoken about it at the time, but probably didn't catch anyone's eye because it wasn't really a thing that they were very upfront about. But now they seriously are. They are, like, for example, in the UK, a heated steering wheel costs roughly $12 a month. So this seems like they're really not holding back. They're going to go all out on this paid subscription kind of methodology. And as I said, coming from a background of gaming, this seems like this seems very true to the way in games itself they limit you because they want to make money off you over a period of time, and so they don't really want to just give you everything as a feature right off the bat, and so they lock you behind these kinds of subscription based things, which is why I don't ever want to play a subscription based game ever again, like probably World of Warcraft, and maybe battle pass, in some games and whatever. I used to do all that, but now that I think back about it and I realize that all of that is just a complete fraud, right? You don't need to fall for those kinds of tricks. Just buy the game that gives you the whole game and just play it. And at least you're supporting people, content creators who are giving you the right amount of freedom and the quality and giving you the whole product and not just parts of the product because they know they can keep making money off you. And similarly, if this is going to be BMW's route, I can see a lot of people actually boycotting the company as a whole and sticking to maybe what's similar model cars, Lexus, Mercedes. I think these kinds of cars, maybe even Volvos, possibly that's around the same range that I can think of, and possibly they will just stick with other car companies, and BMW is probably just going to have to take a step back and say probably we can't go ahead with this because people are just not going to agree to it. And I can still think of people who would still go for this just to show off the fact that they can pay for the monthly subscription. And also, on top of the possibility that this may not be the only thing that they're paying for, like it may be included in the car's overall charges, right? And it could also be included in the car's other features. Maybe its GPS features going to be locked away, right? Maybe the GPS updates will be locked away. Maybe your they have certain road assurance or insurance things that you can actually pay for in in parts or whatever. So perhaps they lock those behind such things. And plus, trust me, for those who are driving BMWs, $219 in monthly subscription may not be much for them at all, right? It'll be like probably $2 spare change for someone who can afford a regular car. So I don't, I still see the possibility that people are still going to keep going for things like this, like ideas like this. But this is so crazy, guys. Like, what a time to be alive! What a time to be alive, where we see subscription-based features in vehicles, right? Like the past 2 years have been absolutely insane. If COVID didn't just bring out the worst in people, and then the war that's happening, in between Russia, Ukraine, and all that, and the economic crisis that's toppling down everything else, right? And then the car companies that were struggling because of all the work from home and stuff like that, and now in what's trying to be a recovering economy, we have even more insane ideas being thrown into the open, and people are actually like laughing about it, memeing about it, but in reality it's happening. And I think there may be a time, because in order for such a feature to work, right, the car has to have some kind of Wi-Fi access at almost all times in order for BMW to be able to check if the subscriptions are being paid for according to time and whether they need to cut or cancel off the subscription. so that you don't like over use the subscription accidentally or whatever, right? So they probably have to make sure that your Wi-Fi is connected at all times. So GPS, most cars now have GPS turned on at all times. So there's a satellite that's able to already globally position where the car is at all times. So that's kind of creepy already now that you think about it. But on top of that, having the Wi-Fi connection, always going to be turned on in the car, means that your cars are going to be able to be hacked into. And this is sort of leading us into the futuristic sci-fi films we watch, where the cars are being hacked into. They control the cars, and they do all kinds of cause all kinds of mayhem, accidents, people being unable to explain it, and then the cover ups. It really looks like a Terminator-esque future that's really being built upon cyberpunk sort of horror story, some sort of thing like that. Minority Report, I think, was one of those good films that actually did that in the past that I used to watch. And this sort of feels like a Minority Report may be set up just to handle these, absolutely insane, out of this world cases that are going to be coming up if we are going to have all cars, running on subscription based packages. Like if you don't pay for a subscription, you can't get your car out of your house. And perhaps your car, has to drive itself to work. You can't drive it anymore at that point in time. Perhaps maybe high traffic or whatever, they don't allow you to drive it. Maybe you can only drive your car on the highways or something like that. I don't know, like how the future may be. Maybe you don't need to take licenses anymore to drive your car. You just need to be 18. Um, so things may really change and take a turn. And it's interesting to be, in this moment in time where we're reading about things like these. But man, it's pretty crazy what's happening here. So anyway, this is something interesting that I thought I wanted to cover, and yeah, BMW is actually taking like the brunt of this, right? Just give me a second, let me find something for you guys. So I just pulled up like any random BMW video, right, on official BMW website, and everyone is talking, like, making fun of the pay a month to get this heated seats. Everyone's talking about the pay a month feature. So any video that I were to open now from BMW is going to be about the pay, the subscription fee, right, for welcome lights. It's all going to be about subscription fee now. BMW kidney iconic glow. Well, it's pretty much where your kidney has to go if you want to get a car like that. But regardless, um, it's gonna be a subscription-based automobile that's gonna be absolutely insane. Now, I can totally understand the possibility of an automobile that has self-driving features that you pay for in subscription instead of buying the car in whole. I totally understand that concept, right? I think this is the thing that Tesla has spoken about in the past. I'm not sure if Elon specifically said it, but it's the idea where instead of needing to buy the entire vehicle, you just pay for the service like monthly subscription, and you get the transportation you need to for the car to take you where you want to go. And then you also have what do you call this the ability to just change the car to the latest car in 3 or 4 years. You don't have to sell your car and buy another one. You just say subscribe to that specific company, something like paying for your internet or paying for your cell service, because now most people who buy their mobile phones get it off their what do you call this? The telco, right? The telecom service provider. So yeah, I guess it could be in that concept. You just subscribe to BMW for life, and you get your cars updated. You get your latest cars every few years. That sounds like a decent idea, but to pay for a specific technology that is already readily available in your car, and you just gotta unlock it, right? I think that's just dirty, and probably BMW and anyone who has this idea should just drop it. And I hope this thing all just burns in one huge dumpster fire, and we don't have to ever have to look for it ever again. So yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts about this whole thing. Subscription everywhere. Yeah, there's gonna be so many. You're probably gonna have to pay a monthly subscription fee to a company to help you pay your monthly subscription fee for everything else pretty soon. So be prepared for subscription insurance. I think that's gonna be a thing. So if you forget to pay for any particular subscription, your insurance is gonna help pay you so that you don't get canceled out of any particular service, and then you gotta probably pay your insurance back. I'm not sure if credit card companies are already doing it, but it sounds like a thing that's gonna be up there for sale. Don't quote me on that idea, credit card companies or insurances. I'm probably going to get sued by someone, I'm pretty sure, in the future. So, anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. This has been fun. Take care.